So hello, Ryan. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your race?
Yes, my name is Ryan Provencher. I'm the race director for the Karl-Oskar Swim in Växjö. We started the race for about 8 years ago as an internal club competition. We had the race date chosen and the name of the race after the Karl-Oskar and Christine immigration from Sweden in 1850. So that was the distance of our first race, was 1850 meters. Beginners to swim, so we did the half a race at 925 meters. In 2018, we introduced the 5,000 meter race as well. So now we have 3 different distances for the last 5 years.
And now you're one of our RaceID customers, and I just wanted to ask you what system did you use before RaceID, and how come you decided to switch to RaceID?
Yes, yeah, we've had a long history of changes from one race to the next race, just trying to find things to get it to work. Unfortunately, all the other systems we've had through just a normal signing up with paying through email and using Excel files just created a lot of extra work for us. And most of the people who do the work around this competition are doing it ideal, working on their own time. And we wanted to have our energy focused on making the swim competition a good experience and not all this manpower work that we have behind it. And for the last 3 years, we've had a system where I spend more time during the week answering questions about how the system doesn't work than actually preparing for the race. So just a couple of weeks ago or months ago, when we were closing out our racing signups, I was in contact with RaceID, and the system was so much smoother. So we decided to do our after signing up or the extra signups through the system. And we all regret that we didn't make this decision earlier.
Okay, good to hear. Sounds good. Maybe you already touched on it, but how has using the event management system or the registration helps you in your daily work with the race?
Yes, it made the work a lot easier, because previously we had one system that was doing the registration, then we had a third party doing the timing system. So we were exporting from one system, converting to another file system, and then sending it out. And we had to do this several times in the last 10 days of the race to prepare for all the chip IDs or any kind of swim caps, starting list and registration. But then when we got access to the RaceID managing app, everything just flew smoothly. If somebody signed up at 12 o'clock and I opened the app at 12:01, I could see their name and I could already see which registration number, bib number they had. So it took a lot of the headache out of the preparation work for us.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. And how was your experience using the RaceID timing app for the first time?
Yes, we were a little bit hesitant to it. We started the first couple of races using just regular watches, stopwatches. The last 4 years, we've been using digital chips. But all the information that was given to us, all the tutorials that were shared on how to use the app, we were extremely pleased with it. We have a competition class, and then we have an open class. So we had 2 different app units and device units, using one for the competition class, one for the open. And it went really smoothly. I mean, there could be a difference of 1/10 of a second in the actual time, but in open water swimming, it's not usually the time that's the most important, it's the place. And we saw no hesitation or no fallbacks with using the app. It was really nice for us.
Okay, I'm glad it worked out, because sometimes people can be a little bit nervous doing it the first time, but then the second time it goes really well. So, but it seems like you were well prepared to do it even the first time.
Yes, I think it's our finishing line allowed us to have a really good way of looking at it. So we had people on boats were reporting in who was in the top groups with the cap, the number on the side of the head.
Yeah.
So before they even started coming to the finish line, we had an idea of which numbers were coming. And then we had a spotter about 3 or 4 yards away from the finish line that was also saying out the numbers of the people coming. So it wasn't a shock. So we had numbers on the side of the swim caps. We had numbers on the back of the hand. So we could both see from the side of the head and when they put their hand up on the finish line. It was really, really smooth. It was almost like playing bingo.
Yeah, that's what people say. It sounds like a bingo board. But so how did the finish line look like?
Yeah, so we had a three what would it be now? A 5 yard finish line, about 1 meter above the water, with a board with a whole bunch of handprints. So we wanted people to lift their hand up and place them there.
Okay.
And as I stated, we had a couple feet before a straight line section so that we could actually see the swimmers before they came. And we just asked the swimmers to leave their hand up on the wall for half a second so that we could identify the number and then hit the finish line. So like I said, it was about 1/10 of a second of a delay, but at the end of the day, open water results change from year to year. I mean, even if you do your best to have the exact same course, the wind can blow one direction or the current can be direction.
Yeah, you're right. The time is not as important as the place, as you say. Cool. That's awesome. And again, you already touched on it, but what differences or improvements have you seen when using the timing app compared to your previous timing method?
Yeah, with the app, we didn't have to prepare chips and bags. If somebody wanted to sign up, we originally said 30 minutes before you have to do the sign up so we can prepare everything. On the actual race day, the app was so easy to use, and we were so adaptable to adding racers that we actually left the sign up open until 15 minutes before the race. Somebody came up and said, "Oh, is it too late?" And we said, "No, if you can get ready in 15 minutes, you can swim." And we were able to add them into the app manually, give them a bid number, write a number on their cap, and then they would join the race. So it was a really good, definite improvement for us. Previous was 1 hour before we have to close the sign up to fix all the chips and do those kind of things. So we were really happy with the ability for the extra signups.
Okay, great. And how about if you compare maybe the costs? I don't know if you had costs, so you had your own chip system before, or how do you look at that?
Yeah, we will see almost a 60-70% savings in just the timing part alone. What we had before was the registration cost that we had on one website, and then we had the timing cost from another website. So going over to RaceID for the additional registrations was actually cheaper for us, and then using the app was a significant savings for us. So we have no intentions on leaving the race time, the race app moving forward.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, you have always a little bit of a trade-off there. Like the app timing is cheaper to use, but you have that manual aspect of it as well. So, but usually, as you say, it works fine, especially in longer races when those tenths of hundreds are not so important. Maybe as we're used to in swimming, short course, for example.
Correct. Yes, and I can say our last race we had a difference of 1 hour and 40 minutes between the first swimmer and the last swimmer. So there was definitely no tenth of a second delay there.
I see what you mean. Oh, that's cool. Thank you for explaining. Would you recommend RaceID to other organizers, and why?
Yes, I would, and I actually already have. We think that it was, like I said at the beginning, all the energy that we have in our organization, we want to put into a really good race day. We want people to show up to the lake and realize that this is a full-scale competition with a few competitors, but they get the full experience of the race. We didn't have to answer a single question about the race sign-up website. The information we placed on the website was available, and everybody was able to either create accounts or use an existing account and sign up for the race. And a week after the race was done, we got a very nice race report with the summary of all the signups. So for us, it's 80%, 90% savings in administration work. And just that's enough for us to not think about anything else. But then how easy it was to use, the accessibility for everybody, that we could use it on our telephones and didn't have to have a laptop down by the lake. That was also a great advantage for us.
Sounds good. Thank you for that. And lastly, do you have any suggestions for improvements for the system, or something that you were not so happy with?
No, we learned by doing a little bit, as you said. We used the test environment to test through. The first race, we had one did not start swimmer that we marked off, but we did it on one telephone while we were just looking at the starting list. And then we went over to the actual start. It wasn't the phones that we wound up backing out of the race during that 15 minutes. And when the two devices went back into the race, that swimmer had not been marked off as not starting. But we learned quickly afterwards how we could adjust that. And then for the second two races, when somebody didn't start, it was quick and easy. So the instructions were correct, but it seems our first time when we backed out of the app and went back in, we had lost that marking. For us, we looking now at the math about how large of a competition do we need to be to go to the next step of your racing app if we want to have chip timing. And we think that maybe for the next 2 or 3 years, the RaceID app is going to be perfect for us. But eventually, if our race starts to grow larger, then we might need to have either additional finishing line devices where we have 4 different colored swim caps and then 2 different classes. So we might have to have 4 different devices so that we could do 1 device for each cap color.
Yeah, there is always way you can adjust it. And as you mentioned, there also the what can be tricky sometimes is the reception. If you have a little bit bad reception for one moment, it can take some time for it to update the swimmers or the participants. So yeah, you just have to be a little bit careful with that. But the data is always saved somehow. So usually you can find it.
Yes,
afterwards.
and then the other great part of it was when the last swimmer, as the swimmers were coming in on the internet, the results were showing up on the results page, and then when we finished the race, the results were finished right away. So our swimmers who had friends and relatives that weren't in Beckbo could actually be online and see the finish line times live. When we've had other systems, it's been maybe temporarily live, and then under 6 hours, everybody's waiting for us to post the results on a Excel file. But here we could just post the link, and then everybody got the results as they were coming in.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your comments, and we're happy that you had a great race.